Throughout history, there have been countless deaths that are both weird and mysterious in nature. From bizarre accidents to strange circumstances surrounding famous figures, some of these deaths have left us scratching our heads and wondering basically how these things even came about in the first place. And in this video, we'll explore some of the most peculiar deaths throughout all of history, so make sure you guys stick around for that, and we're jumping right on into it. So starting off in the Antiquity era, we're starting with Charondas, who died in 1612 BC. Charondas was a Greek lawgiver from Sicily, Italy, and according to Diodorus Siculus, he issued a law that anybody who brought weapons into the assembly must be put to death. And basically one day he arrived at the assembly seeking help to defeat some thieves outside in the countryside, but a knife was still attached to his belt when he walked in. And in order to uphold his own law, he basically had to do the deed himself, if you catch my drift. Yeah, so what a way to go out. Imagine creating your own law. Like, you think this is gonna help, alright? No weapons brought in, and then you accidentally are the one that brings in the weapon.
Yeah, this is big brain time.
At least he respected his own law enough to do what he did. And not that I think he really should have. I think he's just an idiot at the end of the day. But, I don't know. The man followed the laws, we'll say that. Up next is Zeuxis, who died sometime in the 5th century BC. Zeuxis, who was a Greek painter, actually died of laughter at his portrait of the goddess Aphrodite when the elderly women who commissioned this insisted that she should model for it. This guy thought that was so funny that he literally laughed until he died.
Saggy titty ho!
He literally died of laughter. To be honest, I can't see a better way to go out. I mean, you laugh that hard. What do you think about that? That's kind of crazy to me. I don't know. That's the best way to go out at this point. If I could go out, let me do a laughing. Up next is Aeschylus, who died in 456 BC. Valerius Maximus wrote that he was actually killed outside of the city by a tortoise who was dropped by an eagle, which had mistaken his head for a rock that was suitable for shattering the shell of the turtle. And basically, you can imagine a flying turtle just whipping at you and cracking you in the head. It killed him right there. I mean, if it wasn't for this guy who basically said he witnessed it, this is an unbelievable one. Like, let's be real, this is crazy. What are the odds of an eagle dropping a turtle on your skull? Like, I don't know, bro. He had terrible luck. Up next is Pythagoras of Samos, who died in 495 BC. And ancient sources actually disagree on how the Greek philosopher Pythagoras died, but one late and probably apocryphal legend reported by both Diogenes, who was a 3rd century biographer of famous philosophers, and I'm gonna mess up this name, Iamblichus, states that Pythagoras was murdered by his political enemies. Supposedly he almost managed to outrun them, but he came to a bean field and refused to run through it, as he had prohibited beans as ritually unclean. And basically, since cutting through the field would violate his own teachings, Pythagoras simply just stopped running and let himself be killed. Now, there is a legend that this story may have been fabricated by Nethys of Zeuxis. I'm messing up these names, dude. These names are too old for me, but I'll try to get like the translator, you know what I mean, to say it right here for you.
Nethys of Zeuxis.
Both Diogenes and Iamblichus both relied on this person as a source, so people think that this story may have just been fabricated by this person. Up next is Qin Shi Huang,
Qin Shi Huang,
who died in August of 210 BC. Qin Shi Huang was the first emperor of China. I hope I said that right, because on the translator, I think I killed it. Anyways, you probably know this person because they were the first emperor of China, and their artifacts, basically what they're really famous for is the terracotta army. But basically, he died actually after ingesting several pills of mercury, which I'm pretty sure that's the stuff that's just in thermometers, and it's like super toxic to humans, obviously. But he actually believed that it would grant him eternal life.
Ironic.
Come on, bro, this is irony at its best. You thought that was going to give you eternal life, and I mean, we all know how this goes because you see the title of this video, right? Up next is Simon Peter, who died sometime between 64 and 68 AD. Now, Simon Peter is better known by his religious name or whatever, Saint Peter, who was an apostle of Jesus, and he was actually crucified upside down in Rome based on his claim of being unworthy to die the same way as his savior. And basically, we all know, you've probably seen the little crosses, the crucifix with him stretched out. He did not want to be that same way. He felt like he was unworthy of that. So they said, all right, we'll just flip you upside down and leave it at that.
Slightly ironic that an apostle of Christ was executed in a way that is now commonly considered a satanic disrespect of the cross.
Up next is St. Lawrence, who died in 258 AD. The deacon St. Lawrence was roasted alive on a giant grill during the persecution of Valerian. Prudentius says that he joked with his tormentors. Alright, this is another person, Prudentius, who said that he was basically joking around with these people saying, turn me over, I'm done on this side. And nowadays, he is now the patron saint of cooks, chefs, and comedians. Because, I mean, dude, if you're laughing at the people that are torturing you to death, like, I mean, I don't know, man. That's too much. That's craziness at that point. Louis III of France, who died August 5th, 882 AD. Louis III, who was king of West Francia, died at age 18 at Saint Denis while mounting his horse to pursue a girl who was running to seek refuge in her father's house. He basically was hit on his head with the lintel of the lower door and basically fell, cracking his skull open. This just goes to show you, definitely don't chase girls who don't want you, because like, look at this dude, you know what I mean? Like, come on, bro, you shouldn't even be chasing women at the end of the day. But realistically, bro, like, this dude died because he was chasing some girl who was trying to literally run away from him and get like safe in their parents' house. And this man just died. Like, he hit his head, fell off the horse, and that was done. But that was all I have for the Antiquity Ages. Now we're moving on to the Middle Ages. Okay, so starting off the Middle Ages is Constans II, who died July 15th in 668 AD. And apparently, according to Theophilus of Edessa, he was actually assassinated with a bucket. Now, I couldn't really find too many other details on this, but that was the main takeaway. Assassinated with a bucket.
Boom, boom, you see what I'm saying? I didn't even touch him and he fucking fell down. That's how I got the bucket. When the cops come, you put the bucket over your fucking head, nobody can find you.
Up next is Edmund Ironside, who died November 30th in 1016 AD. Now, Edmund Ironside, who was the King of England in 1016, was allegedly stabbed while he was on the toilet by an assassin who was hiding underneath.
What a pain in the ass.
This dude probably had the shittiest job ever. Like, no pun intended, literally, but you know what I mean? Come on, like, you had to stab this guy in his ass, bro, while he's doing his business. Like, that's the worst way to go. That is actually a living nightmare of mine, going out on the toilet, bro. Like, I don't know. I hope not. Sigurd the Mighty of Orkney died in 892 AD, and Sigurd the Mighty, the second Earl of Orkney, basically strapped the head of his defeated foe, Mael Brigti, to the horse's saddle, alright? So you can imagine his horse's saddle, and he basically decapitated this dude that he just had, you know what I mean, killed, and he stuck the head on the side of his horse, alright? And basically, as he was riding his horse, the guy's mouth and teeth were rubbing against his leg, okay? Now, this caused a fatal infection according to the Old Norse
Heimskringla and Orkneyinga sagas.
I'm assuming these are books or legends passed down, but this is apparently how he died. Trying to basically show off that he just killed his enemy, and bro, he got an whatever the Halo thing is.
From the grave.
And finishing off the Middle Ages, we have Martin of Aragon, who died in the 31st of May, 1410 AD. Martin of Aragon died from a combination of indigestion and uncontrollable laughing. This is the second person on the list, by the way, if you're keeping track, who died of laughing. So this is probably the second luckiest person on this list, let's be honest. According to tradition, Martin was suffering from indigestion on account of eating an entire goose, okay, when his favorite jester, Bora, entered the king's bedroom. When Martin asked Bora where he had been, the jester replied with this joke. He basically said, "Oh, I was out in next to the vineyard where I saw a young deer hanging by his tail from a tree as if someone had punished him for stealing figs." Now, apparently back then this joke was slapping, okay? Because this joke caused the king to die from laughing so hard. I don't know. Clearly comedy and everything has changed since then, but that was apparently the joke that set the room off, you know what I mean? And now we're moving on to the Renaissance era, starting off with George Plantagenet. He died on the 18th of February in 1478 AD, who was actually the first Duke of Clarence, was allegedly executed by drowning in a barrel of Malmsey wine, apparently which was his own choice once he accepted that he was about to be executed. So he chose to drown himself in wine. He figured probably that was the funnest way to go out instead of being killed by somebody else. Now, this next one is it's not exactly one person, it's the victims of the 1518 dancing plague. In July of 1518, several people died of either heart attacks, strokes, or exhaustion during a dancing mania that occurred in Strasbourg, Alsace, which is part of the Holy Roman Empire. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched the conspiracy theory iceberg that Wendigo did. I know that he talked about this in part of that. If I can remember the exact part and place, I'll try to link that below. If I can't, don't be too mad at me, bro. There are so many parts of that. Up next is Pietro Aretino, who died on the 21st of October in 1556. Now, the influential Italian author and libertine Pietro Aretino is said to have died of suffocation from laughing too much at an obscene joke during a meal in Venice. Now, again, if you're keeping track, this is number 3. This is becoming a kind of scary trend that people are just dying from laughter. Not like I'm against it, really. That I really see that as like probably the best way to go out. But just keeping track. This is number 3. Anyways, another version of this though states that he actually fell from his chair while laughing too much and fractured his skull, and that's how he died. But either way, I'm chalking this up to death by laughter, so keep track. Up next is Hans Staininger, who died in 1567. Hans Staininger, who was the burgomaster of Braunau, which was then Bavaria but is now Austria, so he was really like a leader of Austria at the time, died when he broke his neck by tripping over his own beard. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. How is that possible? How long was this thing? Okay, for all my Americans, the beard was actually 4.5 feet at the time, and for everybody outside of America, it was 1.4 meters long. This thing was, bro, touching the floor, okay? And basically at the time, he usually ended up keeping it rolled up in a leather pouch, but the day he didn't, he tripped over it and broke his neck. That is tragic, dude. I don't know. Don't keep your beard that long. That is crazy. Or if anything, braid it up. Like, you know what I mean? Do something with it. Alright, we're starting off the early modern era, which I'm counting 1600s to the 1800s. So these are all going to cover that time. Starting up first is Safi of Persia, who died in 1642. Shah Safi, a Safid ruler of Iran, allegedly died due to alcohol intoxication in a drinking contest against a Georgian nobleman called
Sidin Chaladze.
And basically, yeah, clearly, I don't know if he won the actual contest, but he lost way more than that, let's be honest. I don't know if that was really worth it, my guy. Thomas Urquhart died in 1660. Thomas Urquhart, who was a Scottish aristocrat, polymath, and the first translator of Francois Rabelais' writings into English, is said to have died, again, laughing upon hearing that Charles II had actually taken the throne. So, if you guys are keeping track, dude, this is 4, but I think this reason is hilarious. He heard that this dude, Charles II, took the throne over. I'm pretty sure this is Charles II from England. He couldn't believe it. It blew his mind. He was laughing so hard at the idea that he, again, just went out, bro. Like, I don't know. This is crazy to me. This is number 4, bro. This is not even a long list. Out of like the 20 people that I maybe mentioned so far, 4 of them. That's 1 in 5, guys. Like, it's crazy statistics. Up next is James Betts, who died in 1667. Now, James Betts died from asphyxiation after being sealed in a cupboard by Elizabeth Spencer at Corpus Christi College in Cambridge in an attempt to hide him from her father, John Spencer. Now, I want you guys to listen to this again, alright? This guy died while hiding in a cupboard from this girl's dad. This is another reoccurring idea on here, guys. Being with these shorties, you know what I mean? Being with these girls, hiding yourself, dude, like, just go home. Pull the Ezio Auditore, man, and get out of there. Just dip. Like, it's not worth it, bro. Like, this guy probably was scared of her father and just died from suffocating. Like, what? It gives me headaches. It gives me headaches. Up next is Molière. Molière died on the 17th of February in 1673. Now, the famous French playwright Molière actually suffered a pulmonary hemorrhage caused by tuberculosis while playing the part of the hypochondriac in his own play, La Madeleine Imaginaire, or it's basically the imaginary stick. And basically, he actually disguised his convulsion as part of his performance and finished out the show, which ends with his character dead in a chair. Ironic, right? After the show, he was carried in the chair to his house where he actually eventually ended up passing. So, I mean, dude, what a way to go out doing what you love, you know what I mean? Like, famous for this thing, and he decided, yo, this is it. I'm gonna finish out this show. I'm gonna go out with a bang. And, I mean, I'm sure the people that saw that never forgot it. Let's be real. Especially after finding out after the show, like, wait, he really died? Like, what the fuck happened in this show? What? It's probably mind-blowing to them. Up next is Henry Hall, who died on December 8th, 1755. Henry Hall, who was a 94-year-old British lighthouse keeper, died several days after fighting a fire at Rudyard's Tower, during which molten lead from the roof fell down his throat. Now, that is already terrifying enough to think about, that you're fighting a fire that you could also be dying in, but The last thing on my mind in that fire would be that molten metal falling from the roof is going to end up going in my mouth and down my throat, dude. Like, that is crazy. Like, that is just terrible luck. First off, his autopsy actually revealed that the diaphragmatic upper mouth of the stomach greatly inflamed and ulcerated, and the tunicula in the lower part of the stomach burnt. And basically from this cavity, they took out this giant piece of lead, which weighed exactly 7 ounces, 5 drachms, and 18 grains. Now, me being from America, I don't really know what 5 drachms or 18 grains equals out to. I get the 7 ounces though. This thing is like almost halfway to a pound of lead that just fell into this dude's stomach. This is terrifying. Molten, by the way, burning, like basically liquid metal.
For context, lead's melting point is 621.5 degrees Fahrenheit, or 327.5 degrees Celsius.
Okay, and then it ended up kind of becoming one giant piece. This piece of lead is actually currently in the collection of the National Museum of Scotland. So if you're ever out in Scotland or if you're from there, let me know. Send me a picture of this thing. I'll try to post one right here. But if you've ever seen this thing in person, let me know. Now, this one is graphic. I'm going to give like a quick forewarning. Gouverneur Morris. I'm assuming he's got to be French because his name is literally Gouverneur Morris, but it's kind of said with like that little bit of twang. Anyways, he died on the 6th of November in 1816, and Gouverneur Morris actually died from an infection after using a whalebone to clear a blockage in his urinary tract. I'm going to say that one more time. He died after getting an infection using a whalebone to clear a blockage in his urinary tract. Why? That is my question, dude. Why? Why would you ever attempt this, dude? Like,
I can tell you exactly why. He was a politician from New York. That says all you need to know right there. New York politicians are disturbed.
Even back then, like, I like to think that people would have had common sense, dude, but clearly not. Up next is William Snyder, who died on January 11th, 1854. William Snyder, who was 13 at the time, died in San Francisco, California, reportedly after a circus clown swung him around by his heels. Basically, that was just enough to kill him. That is tragic, dude. I don't know if it was his birthday or it said circus clown, but I don't know, bro. 13, like, dog, RIP to you. Fuck that clown, bro. I don't know. I hate clowns already, dude, so this is just another reason to add to the list. Clement Vallandigham died on June 17th, 1871. Vallandigham, who was an American politician and lawyer, was defending a man accused of murder, okay? He accidentally shot himself while demonstrating how the victim might have done so. And his client was acquitted. Apparently, he literally proved it in the courtroom. Like, I don't know how, but this worked and his client was off, so maybe he literally didn't kill anybody and the person actually did. I don't know, but either way, Vallandigham did. RIP, he was going hard for his job, let's be honest. This is the type of lawyer you need, if you really need one. Up next is Sir William Payne-Gallwey, who died on December 19th, 1881. Sir William Payne-Gallwey, who was a former British military police, died after sustaining severe internal injuries when he fell on a turnip while hunting. Now, one can only assume exactly where he fell on this turnip, where this turnip ended up, but I'm really hoping it's not where I think. Because basically when I hear severe internal injuries, dude, there's literally only like one place that I'm thinking of, dude, and I'm just hoping it wasn't that. But either way, this turnip ended up taking him out, so RIP to you. And I'm putting number 1 because basically I have a bunch more people that I'm going to end up doing on a second video, and that does include, I think, 2 more unknown male John Does that they basically just could not find actually any information for. But for number 1, they actually died on August 22nd in 1888. At around 8:30 p.m., a shower of meteorites apparently fell like rain on a village in Sulaymaniyah, Iraq, which was then part of the Ottoman Empire. 1 man died and another was left paralyzed, and the man's death is considered the only credible case of death by meteorite in all of history, basically, or written history. So, unknown John Doe, number 1, only person technically that we've ever figured out really died from a meteorite falling on them. So that is crazy. I really wish we ended up knowing your name or something about you, because that's just unreal, to be honest with you. That's something that you only see in movies, right? And last up for the early modern era is Bridget Driscoll, who died on August 17th, 1896. Driscoll, who was 44 at the time, is the first recorded case of a pedestrian killed in a collision with a motor vehicle. Apparently, she was actually struck on the grounds of the Crystal Palace in London by a car belonging to the Angelo French Motor Carriage Company while giving a demonstration of a ride. I don't know who was getting the demonstration. They were probably done with cars after that. But yeah, this is the first recorded person who was ever actually killed in a collision with a motor vehicle or a car, really. And RIP to you, Bridget. That is a terrible legacy to leave, to be honest. But I don't know. I don't really know how to end this. Now that's like the worst way. That's like the most common way that people die nowadays. It's actually so messed up. So I don't even know. Sorry, Bridget. RIP to you. All right, so that was basically all I had for the early modern era. Next time we end up doing this video, I'm going to be focusing on the early 20th century. So basically early 1900s all the way up till today's ages. There is a lot. Things just get weirder and crazier as we keep going. You know what I mean? But like I said, I plan on making a second part of this series because we haven't even gotten close to today's age. And that's about it. We're going to be making our way all up to the 2000s, 2010s, early 2020s. If you guys know any other crazy weird deaths or whatever, if not, check out my other videos. I've been doing a lot of like the weird darker stuff on YouTube, so make sure you check those out. Other than that, check out my brand, Make Sure Preview Worldwide. I always got that linked in the description. That's like really the thing I do other than YouTube is I just make clothes. I make videos sometimes. I do a bunch of random stuff, bro. Anyways, if you got this far, I appreciate you. Stay safe, stay dangerous, get laid. I'll see you soon. Peace.